in 2020 for high school students in high school leagues. In 2021-22 season, there were just under 16,000 participants. In the 2022-23 season, this is nationwide, there were a little over 20,000. So we had a little jump there. In the 2023 to 24 season, there were almost 43,000 participants. I
That's
mean, that's
crazy.
incredible. It's just showing you how quickly this sport is growing. My guest today is Chad LaRose, and we're talking girls flag football. Chad's the coach of a first-year girls flag football team at an all-girls high school here in New Orleans and has quite the football pedigree. He was a state championship runner-up high school quarterback, earned a football scholarship to UCLA where he had unfortunately suffered a career-ending shoulder injury. Upon returning to New Orleans after graduating from UCLA, he coached boys high school tackle football under one of the top football coaches here in the state of Louisiana. Now, a dad of 3 girls, he's continued coaching a variety of sports, both at their playgrounds and at schools. And about a year ago, got the opportunity to be the first head coach of the all-girls flag football team at a school here in New Orleans. So, welcome, Chad. I'm really excited to have this conversation. So, full disclosure for all of our listeners, we actually go way back. And more specifically, you and my husband go way back to that state championship runner-up football team back in high school.
We do.
Several decades later, you guys have remained very close friends, and our families are now very close friends. And so I know the conversation that we're about to have is something that listeners will be very interested in because it's kind of like stuff that we've talked about across dinner tables, at the beach, all that kind of good stuff. So I'm really excited to have them hear your perspective on this really fast-growing sport here in South Louisiana and really across the country. So welcome. Before we kind
Thank
of
you.
get into flag football, I'd like for you to kind of talk a little bit about the role that football has played in your life, kid, teenager, and now even as an adult.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, first of all. It's always a pleasure catching up with you and the Stack family. Yeah, I mean, I've been as long as I can remember, back in the late 70s, early 80s, playing at Girard Playground. It's been, sports in general. It's been a pivotal part of my growing up, part of my development as a kid. My dad played football. I knew that. He never forced me to play, but I've always gravitated towards it. We didn't have all the plethora of sports the kids play today, like with rugby or lacrosse. It was baseball, football, track, and basketball, and that was it. And that was fine. That was seasonal. There was no travel sports, so it was great. I loved it. Going on to high school, it was great transitioning. A lot of guys from Girard went to Brother Martin, and that definitely influenced my decision to go to Brother Martin. Ran track and played football at Brother Martin. And yeah, I was fortunate. We had some good teams, and your husband was an integral part of those Brother Martin teams, and we got real close. And it was influential. Back in high school, I didn't want to be anything else but a football player. So it definitely influenced me going to UCLA, going to a big school, having the opportunity to play early. I was able to play my redshirt freshman year a lot on special teams. And then that's when I had my first shoulder surgery, came back my sophomore and junior year, and started making my way back into the starting lineup on defense as a defensive back, cornerback, nickelback, learning the game. And then right before my senior year started, I had same surgery on my shoulder. So that was when I had to make a business decision and say, maybe I should start looking into something else besides football. I was very thankful, though. I never regretted it. Very thankful. I have my knees and my ankles and my hips, and it was just my shoulders that have a little bit of arthritis. I can't swim straight. I can't really play tennis very well, but I can run, I can jog, I can do all that fun stuff. So but no, after I transitioned, I immediately came back home and started coaching football with Jay Roth. It was his very first year at Rummel. I had a great experience at Rummel, and actually, I want to plug this. My first podcast I heard of you, Sarah. You had a really good podcast about supplemental dietary things that the girls and boys can do to supplement their workouts, and you mentioned creatine, and that was big in the '90s when I was coaching at Rummel, and yeah, I thought it hit home.
Yeah.
We were in a position where we were kind of promoting creatine to our kids at Rummel, saying, "Hey, take it. It's great to recovery, for workouts." And Jay's brother, his older brother, Randy, is the doctor. He's the chief medical officer, CEO at Singing River Hospital in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. And he told us, "Hey, pump the brakes on that because it's not yes, creatine's good. The body makes creatine, but you can't be promoting a product to these kids because you're not monitoring how much they put in their body. It's systemic, which means it's dietary. They're going to eat it and ingest it, and it's not just going to their muscles. It's going to their heart. It's going to their liver. It's going to their kidneys. And if the
Yeah,
body doesn't, it's going
exactly.
to try to get it. So not only are they wasting a lot of the product, but could that potentially lead to kidney stones, liver? So we put the kibosh on and said, look,
Mhm.
we recommend that, but we're not going to give you any information on how to buy it. It's totally up to you. But I thought it was instrumental. And I
Yeah.
always today, read the packages, make sure you know what you're putting in your body and the dosage.
Oh,
More is not more when it comes to that. There's a reason why the body creates a little bit of creatine because it doesn't need tons and tons and tons of creatine. So sorry for the sidebar, but I thought that was really
no,
inspirational
no.
podcast. I thought that was great. But anyway, I'll
Well, I
transition.
think that you
Yeah, go ahead.
I think you hit a really good point with that, though, about the creatine in particular, because one of the things about, we say with youth athletes using supplements is that their prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed yet. And so they can be
Yeah,
impulsive and they can, maybe not take a reasonable amount, like take an excess amount, because they're more likely to do that because they don't have their prefrontal cortex hasn't been fully developed yet. So you make a really
correct.
good point with that. So I do
Yeah,
appreciate that.
on the packaging, it's 100% creatine, or is it 80% creatine and 20% filler? Well, if you don't know what that filler is, your body is ingesting
Exactly.
it. So realize it's very important to
It-
know what's going on in your body. I don't have to tell you that, but you're
100%. Yes.
but anyway, no, look, and then fast forward, I met my lovely wife Gina, who you know very well, and we have three beautiful
Hmm.
daughters. And I was
Yes.
okay being a girly dad, and if they wanted to go do the dancing route and the cheering route, that's fine. My youngest does that, Pat's godchild.
Yeah, about to say you do that.
Yeah, but my oldest gravitated towards sports. So yeah, I coached her softball throughout, and then at the grammar school level, actually right after COVID, St. Dominic's, where they go to grammar school, wanted to start a girls flag football league. And I mean, when I tell you, Sarah, there were 50, girls from fourth grade to seventh grade that wanted to try out. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And this was back in 2021,
That's
2022.
awesome.
So we went
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
from I think 10 teams to like 25 teams to like 35 teams in 2023. On the lower level, it was bubbling, it was growing. So when Dr.
Yeah.
Thomas at Dominican, Scarlett graduated St. Dominic's and went to Dominican, where your daughter's going right now, Ava. They approached Coach Spitz, the athletic director, and Dr. Thomas said, "Ask Chad if he wants to coach." And man, I was more than happy to start the program there. It was a easy transition. First person I
Yeah.
thought of was Baker. Coached against him at St. Catherine's for 4 years. I'm like, man, I got a
Mhm.
chance to coach with him and his daughter. So it was like, it just fit, and it was perfect. And no, we had a really good season this year. We had a really slimmed down version. We had 45 girls try out. I think we kept 17, 16 girls, and three of them got hurt. So we were at a really
Yeah.
skeletal team for the latter part of the year. But when I tell you, girls gravitate towards football, Sarah. They're like a sponge. They're a lot more cerebral than boys, and you say that as a good way or a
Yeah.
bad way. I'm trying to, I coach boys tackle football at Rummel for 5 years, and I coach the girls,
Mhm.
and it's really not that different. And I always give my disclaimer when I coach. I'm coaching you like I coached Rummel, those boys. They have to do push-ups when they mess up. I'm not going to demean you, but
Yeah.
you got to get my point across. But when I tell you they want to learn, and they really do, and a lot of them didn't come from a football background. My starting linebacker
Yeah.
was a competitive cheerleader, didn't play any sports, and she was one of my best defensive players. So she was an athlete. But
Yeah.
we tried out, I think, in March, early March, Sarah, and half the team didn't know each other. Half the team didn't know the difference between wide receiver and defensive back. And by the end of the year, when we made it to the semi, yeah, and we can get into that. It was great. It was funny. Me and Gavin would laugh. But by the end of the year, I mean, the girls were making audible plays on defense. They were disguising. They were recognizing who the pivotal person on offense was. They knew the difference between the different zones and the coverages, goal line defenses, how to attack different defenses. It was amazing. And I guarantee you those girls now, they know more football than their dads and moms do. And when they watch it, they can now see, hey, those defenses, I know what cover two and cover three is. I know when you bail and you play man to man, they do that. So when they see that on offense, when they see the quarterback making audibles and pointing, they know what's going on. So to see that level of transformation with the knowledge, and I think that's what the NFL was trying to do with flag football. It is like, it really is. It's like a curtain that's opening up in front of them, and they love it. Absolutely love the game. Did I talk too much?
No, not at all. I love it. I love hearing all the stories.
Mhm. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
No, that is really fantastic. And you really hit on a lot of things that, you know, I wanted to hit on in this conversation. And that's just the first of all, like just how popular it's going. So I pulled some stats to look, and just for flag football across the country in 2020 for high school students in high school leagues. In 2021-22 season, there were just under 16,000 participants. In the 2022-23 season, this is nationwide, there were
Yeah.
a little over 20,000. So we had a little jump there. In the 2023 to 24 season, there were almost 43,000 participants.
Well,
I
that's
mean, that's
crazy.
incredible. It's just showing you how quickly this sport is growing. And we
Hmm.
do see that here. I think here in New Orleans with the Saints, they started, this is like the second year of their league. We went from 10 teams the first season, and now there's 20 teams this next season. I mean, I know there's going to be more teams next the season after that. So
Yeah.
that is something that you absolutely hit on, just the rate of growth in this
Yeah.
sport. And I thought it was interesting to hear that that was happening at the lower level, like the middle school level as well. And you're seeing
Yeah.
the interest. I mean, think about how that's going to play out in the years to come, right? There's going to be opportunities for those girls to play in high school. There's going to be opportunities for them to play beyond that. So in order for them, like, so right now in Louisiana, we have the Saints, like in many states that have football teams that are promoting flag football leagues for high school girls. Louisiana
Mhm.
is one of them. There are some states that actually have sanctioned leagues with their high school athletic association. There's 16 states and then 18 that are like provisional, and we're in one of those right now. And the Saints have really stepped in to create this league, an opportunity for the girls to play. When you were coaching that, so when a league is sanctioned, there's a lot of benefits that you get. So you're going to have increased competition, right? Because there's gonna be more teams
Mhm.
if it's a sanctioned sport. An official state championship, right? And
Mhm.
then more resources for female athletes in general, but for those girls in particular. So talk a little bit about that pathway. Like if we see middle school kids, then there's also like some of the flag leagues will have a girls team. For example,
Yeah.
I've seen that. Like, oh, there wasn't a whole league for the girls, but we put together a girls team. They played the
FNA.
boys.
Yeah.
They beat the boys.
Yeah.
you know and then looking forward, in college we have there's the NCAA obviously and the NAIA. I feel like the NAIA has kind of taken a jump on this, and they're a little bit more invested in women's flag, because at the college level it'd be women's flag football, but the NCAA is also kind of getting on board as well. And then we have the
Correct.
Olympics coming up in 2028. So think about some of the like what opportunities do you see for these girls who are playing in high school right now
Yeah. All right.
going forward?
That's a lot. Let me start from the bottom, and I'll work my way up to what your question was. But no, those are good questions. So I really do think Drew Brees, when he started the FNA league and he allowed for the
Mm-hmm.
co-ed girls to come in, I thought that really opened the door to a lot of competition. And parents know this. Girls physically develop faster than boys. So at St. Dominic, those boys flag football teams didn't want to play my girls flag football teams because we would have beat them. And I'm confident they get it, they grow. Actually, St. Dominic's has a co-ed lacrosse team, and two of the best players are girls that were on
Mm-hmm.
my flag football team. That's great. That's awesome. So physically, having a league when the girls are 12 or 9, 10, 11, 12 to play co-ed flag football, that's fine. They're going to hold their own. It might be different in high school, but at that age, let them develop with the boys. That's better competition. They're going to learn all the same skills, but that's not a big deal. But when FNA, Drew Brees started FNA, I think before COVID, I think the girls, it really caught on. And then That's when the archdiocese jumped in and said, "Hey, let's make another option for our Catholic schools to play." I wish they had better venues, but they really, we would play anywhere, and if the need was there, they said, "Hey, go ahead and play," and the girls loved it. They absolutely loved it, and we wound up having, I think we had a senior in St. Dominic's. We had three teams. There was a varsity, a senior, a junior, and like a fourth grade team we had. So the demand is there. Now, as far as the NFL sponsoring our 20 teams right now, and we know they're trying to get it off the ground, and they will. Eric Held, who played with Pat and I on Brother Martin's team, he was the head of the LHSAA, and it was on his radar. It's on his docket to make it a sport that Louisiana recognizes. Yeah, so you got the whole benefits of you're going to play in playoffs, you're going to have brackets, you're going to have state championships. At that level, I think it's getting there, Sarah. And realize this, we didn't mention this. We went from 9 teams the first year to 20 teams the second year. That's only New Orleans. That's nothing on the North Shore. That's nothing in Baton Rouge. That's nothing in Lafayette. That's just New Orleans, like New Orleans. So if we open it up to Baton Rouge, they'll put up 5 or 6 teams. North Shore put up 2 or 3 or 4 teams easily.
Absolutely.
Once that spread, and that's not Laplace, that's not the river parishes, that's not the Bayou. They absolutely put up teams there. So I don't know about the
Yeah.
NA. I know that they're gravitating towards making teams. I know right now Arizona State, and I want to say Oregon, but I could be wrong. But I know Arizona State for sure has given out scholarships to girls flag football players. So not only are they leagues, they're giving girls the
Wow.
opportunity to get scholarships. And as you know, the 2028 Olympics, that's going to be an Olympic sport. Men's and females flag football is going to be an Olympic sports. We could, possibly, and I told the girls this, one of y'all could be in the Olympics for this, so that's not out of the realm. They're having scouts out
Yeah.
there and they're looking. So we already see on the news the NFL players want to participate so they can get a gold medal in men's flag football. I don't, if I'm an owner, I'm not letting that happen. But that's the only way the men's are going to be able to get a medal for that. So it's not only growing just in this country. The Saints organizations, what we're dealing with, the Saints, they're taking
Yeah.
it to France, and they're putting on showcases in France, and they want to take, yeah, they're filming. Actually, we're filming. The Dominican flag football team is going to the Saints practice facility on Monday, and they're filming drills, and they're instructing these other countries on flag football, like how to, proper technique, flag pulling, different drills they can run, different routes, and that's going to be showcased not only in this country to coaches that want to start leagues or areas, counties that want to start leagues, but other countries too. So it's taken off like wildfire.
Super impressive.
Yeah, yeah.
For sure.
I would highly advise schools to really think about it too. I still think sports is your best ambassador as a school. We got so much. I mean, if you go to the Saints website right now, saints.com, and if you look under community, it is nothing but girls flag football. And I mean,
Yeah.
they have NFL Saints photographers
It's
at our
amazing.
games, videographers, and they have an amazing I mean, I wish I had this when I was in high school. They showing these girls with plays, special plays, and I'm like, this is incredible stats. I hope the LHSAA can
Yeah.
do that. I mean, it's just it's amazing what these girls are exposed to that the NFL is contributing, and they're doing it too. I mean, they're looking at it like marketing. They're tapping into a market that's 50% untouched, more than 50%. There's more than 50% females in this country. They want to tap into that market to grow the NFL, and I think it's a
Yep.
wonderful way.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you had any questions.
Yeah, no, I think that it's great to see the NFL really tapping into their female audience, and not just like it started off with apparel, right?
No,
And for it to not just be the apparel, it's actually the actual sport itself, right? I
yeah,
mean, that's really fantastic. And it kind of goes along with what we've seen in other sports lately, with
mhm.
women's basketball, obviously like the WNBA benefited substantially from players like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Women's professional soccer, we're seeing a lot of Hollywood heavy hitters who are actually investing in the National Women's Soccer League, which is fantastic. So this really is a great thing to see, and it follows suit, but I think it opens up so much. So one of the reasons why I think that this is drawing girls, is that it's a really inclusive sport too. I mean,
Yeah,
there's not a a type when it comes to football. Football, you have different positions, so different skill sets. So
yeah,
it's a game that a lot of different people can play. You don't have to have the football set of skills to play flag football. I mean, it's a game that a
No,
lot of different people with different skills can play. And I think that's really great that we're seeing that option for women now, because we've seen it for men for so long, you know, and now we're
yeah,
seeing a legitimate option for women as well to do that
yeah,
for sure.
no, that's a good point.
So it sounds like,
Yeah, when me and Gavin were picking our team,
no, go ahead.
we weren't looking for football
Yeah.
players. We were looking for athletes. We were looking for skill sets. If
Hmm.
even when I was at Rummel, if I needed a defensive back, I would go to the basketball team. That's a very similar skill set. And most of the girls on our team are in two other sports besides flag football, which I think is great. If you can play basketball, if you can play volleyball,
Hmm.
if you could run down a fly for softball, we can find a spot for you. Look at dancing. Cheerleader, our Lily Dewey. She's a competitive cheerleader. She is athletic. We'll find a spot for you. We can teach you the game. That's what's great is that the girls that are confident, they have that athletic agility, that are confident in their athletic ability. They just want to learn the game. So they're like sponges. And once they learn the game and they kind of showcase their own skill set, it's magic. It really, I don't know how else to call it, but it's like a light bulb that goes off. And that's what's great about coaching them. Me and Gavin will look at each other and we'll just shake our heads because we practice a play where the girls are like running into each other. And in the game, it kind of comes together and it's like, it's a thing of
Yeah.
beauty, it really is. So, no, but the girls are
Hmm.
athletes, and I think that's all they want to do, Sarah. They not that they don't. My girls don't feel disrespected, and I don't. Nobody feels sorry for them because they never had this sport ever. I think they're just glad that this is another door opening for them that they can showcase their athletic ability, and
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. I think that's great. I think the more options you give kids to do, the more that they're going to find their way. And then we know, sports gives you so much in life that the classroom can never give you. How to be a teammate, how to work with others. I guarantee you, half my team didn't know each other before the season. We had seniors to freshmen on our teams. By the end of the year, they're all buddy buddies and they all have that relationship now that you just don't have in other, just going to a class. I'm not saying that's not important. It's important, but you just develop a lot of life skills in sports, and I'm glad they get an opportunity to do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that sentiment completely. That there's so much that you get from sports,
Yeah, and just
so
just having being a part
for
of a team,
sure.
you feel that pressure of
Yep,
others rely on me, and I have to rely on others. That's a life lesson that you can't
absolutely.
teach. You got to go through it.
Yeah, 100%. So you said you had what, 45 girls try out
I
for
did.
16 spots? Is that right?
But we had 17. We
Did
had
you
a girl
expect
drop
that?
out. Yeah, we took an eighth grader. We
Ah,
had an eighth grader that tried out, but I think her mom, she didn't do good on exams, and her mom said, "You're done." So like we went from 17 to 16 real quick.
yeah,
Um, and then yeah, we had a
yeah,
couple early. Yeah, I get it. We had one girl, Tina Gray. She had her best game against Chappelle in the opening round of the play. I think it was the quarterfinals. She had like 4 sacks, and then she tore her ACL, so she was gone. Yeah, so we were down. We were bare bones for a while. So I think next year
yeah,
we'll keep maybe some more. But yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's football. You hate to just say, yeah, injuries happen, but the girls know that. They put everything out on the field, and it's not. There were some girls that tried out that really thought it was like going to be a powder puff thing, and they thought it was cute, and they kind of skipped around and stuff. And I'm like, girls, this you're in for an awakening if that's what you think. This isn't a powder puff rec league. This
yeah,
is the real deal. And when we made cuts, the girls they
real,
knew that. And if they wanted a spot, and I
yeah,
told them that, well, hey, if you want a spot, you got to earn it. And I told them that for the off season. That's when we and you were talking about, going to South Shore Physical Therapy. I said off season. I said, look, you got to try out again. It's not like, yeah, I'm going to give you a spot. You got to try out because
yeah,
I guarantee you more than 45 girls trying out next year for the team, especially after the success we had. There's going to be a lot of girls trying
yeah.
out. So it'll be interesting.
After, I think so too. Do
Yeah.
you think that these girls know the role that they're playing in terms of the history of the sport right now? Like, do you think that they realize that they're
Well,
history makers, or are they just having fun and learning
yeah,
this
no,
new sport?
I think they realize that they're creating history. And I told them that at the end of the season. I'm like, you were the
Mhm.
first team for Dominican high school flag football team. Dominican's been around since 1869. There's not a lot of firsts you can do with Dominican. Okay. You are the first. So they went from
Yeah,
not existing to making it to the semifinals, being one of the top four teams in the league.
Mhm.
So they set the bar high. They set the standard high. And Dominicans like that. They're going to do something. They're going to be the best. There
Yeah.
is no half stepping at Dominican. So
All in.
we,
Yeah.
yeah, we're all in. And Coach Gavin had the same philosophy as me. If I'm going to do something, we're in it to win. It's great to have fun, but it's better if you win. That's fun. So my wife doesn't like to hear me when I say that, but I believe that. If you can do something, let's win it. Let's do it. And the girls, they bought in. 100% bought in. We were practicing 3-4 days a week. They
Yeah.
were running from track meet to practice, or they were tennis meet right to practice. So it was we were juggling, but the girls knew it was important. When we made it to the playoffs, they knew they had to practice, and it we worked well
Yeah.
with the other coaches. I love the other coaches at Dominican. We always said, you can miss a practice if you got a meet or a game. I don't mind that, but if you're in season, that's your
Right.
team. So, but the other coaches, what's good about Dominican is that we know that
Yeah.
our athletes play multiple sports, and we like that. I like that, and we worked well together. But the girls, they put the pressure on themselves.
Yeah.
They want, it meant a lot to them, not just to be out there, but to win games. So yeah, I got to show you a picture. I'll show it to you, Sarah. But one of
Yeah.
the proudest moments of the year that I have was when those girls, we played our first game against Sour Reed. It was at John Curtis, and after we won the game, they have a picture. They took a selfie of the whole team together with the scoreboard in the background, and I can't express to you the smiles on these girls' faces of we won. It's like the epitome of 4 weeks of practice.
Yeah.
How are we going to do? How are we going to match up? And they won, and they won pretty decisively. And I think they realized that they had something special then. But that picture, I'll show
Yeah.
it to you. That look was like relief and success, and just being proud of themselves. And it's like that's why
Yeah.
you try for flag football, for that moment. And they were all,
It's so authentic.
yes,
Yeah.
very
You
much.
can't manufacture that.
No,
You know.
no, you can't.
To that.
Girls just ran in front of the
Mhm.
scoreboard and took that group. Maya took a selfie of them, and it was freshmen and
Mhm.
seniors and all nationalities and all races and all religions hugging each other. And I'm like, that's the poster of
Yeah.
what flag football should be right there. It was great. It
What
was a
it's about.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah. That's amazing. I love it.
it was nice.
Love that. That's fantastic. Absolutely. Let's see. I have some hot seat questions for you, but you already answered one of them.
Yeah, I'm all
So
in.
how about
Love
this
hot.
one? What are your goals for next season? What are your goals for next season?
To make and win, well, to make it to the playoffs and to surpass where we were last season. So the standards now is
There you go.
semifinals. So you gotta win, you gotta
Yeah.
make it to the finals. So that's always the goal. The girls know that. But I think this year we were teaching them really how to learn the game, about the game. Really, look, this is a wide receiver. This next year we're gonna start off. If we were here, we're gonna start the season here, and the girls that wasn't on the team are just gonna have to catch up, because the girls now know, they have a knowledge
Yeah.
base. They know our terminology. It's really like learning another language. So now we're going to flag football one. Next
Yeah.
year is going to be flag football two, and they're picking up right where they left off, and everybody's got to catch up. So that's it. I want to put a few more girls on the team. Coach Spitz says they may be a JV team, which will be great, because I always believe in having that feeder program up. And then that's it. I
Absolutely.
think he
Yeah.
did a pretty good job, Coach Gavin. I was blessed to have him, because he does a phenomenal job of putting players in the right positions. We work really well together in that aspect.
Yeah.
So we have an skill sets and where to put them. We just gonna, we were. I'm not gonna say it was a vanilla offense or defense that we had, but it wasn't really a lot of different intricate parts, because the girls, they were learning the game. We'll throw in
Mhm.
some more audibles, some more options, some more. You're reading stuff on the field. They're picking up things faster, so it's going to be a more complex version of what we had last year. That's one of my goals. Always
Yeah.
have fun. I like to have fun with the girls. We practiced at 5 different places last year, Sarah.
Yeah.
Think about it. So in one season, we were at 5 different locations practicing. So it was an adventure just finding a field. So I would like to have it, if we can just have it at one place. That would
Yeah.
that would be so that would be some of my goals.
Absolutely. What does it mean to you to be able to build this program at this school with these girls, that you were called upon to build this program, to build a flag football program for high school girls? What does that mean to you?
Man, it means everything. So just a brief history. I don't know if you realize this. Dr. Thomas was an administrative assistant or director at Brother Martin when me and Pat were at Brother Martin. So I've been knowing Dr. Thomas since I was in high school. She went through in the late 80s and 90s those successful teams that we had. And I really do. I think that it meant a lot to her when the NFL approached Dominican for flag football to be like, hey, we want you to have a flag football program. She never told me this, but I really think it resonated with Dr. Thomas because she was there for our tryouts. Like Dr. Thomas and Miss Favre sat in the bench,
Wow.
watched our tryouts. So I know it meant a lot to her. She's like, I want to witness history. So
Yeah.
she saw what it did when me and
Yeah.
Pat went through our junior and senior year and how winning it's contagious. The school, it just felt like a winning program. And I know she wanted that. That means a lot that she asked me to be the coach, but to have the girls have that winning tradition because Dominican, they number one in state in swimming, and the Debs are always top state nationally, and we got some really good volleyball teams, softball teams. Go down the list, all the sports, cross country, we're at the top. So she didn't want to just show up for flag football. She wanted to win, and
Yeah.
that's what I want those girls to experience, winning. Because Dominican, if you come to Dominican, we're a top academic slash athletic program in the city and the state for a reason. And I wanted flag football to be at that level from year one.
Love it. Yeah. Love that for sure. So, any advice or resources? This will be our last wrap up question here.
Yeah.
Advice or resources for any younger girls, late middle school, early high school, who are listening or whose parents listen and say, "Wow, I really want to get involved." So, what should they do if they are getting the appetite for flag football? What would you say?
I know not all schools are offering flag football right now. I know the archdiocese schools are. The public schools, though, I know that they have FNA. I would absolutely seek out. I think they have a league in New Orleans East. I know they have a league at Ted Gormley. Jefferson Parish, I think, offers an option. They have some leagues, and all of them are girls, boys, and then some of them are co-ed, which is fine. Be intimidated, by going into a co-ed league. Don't be intimidated at all. I know they do a good job of seeding the kids, but yeah, try out, man. Just go ahead and try out. And look, some girls I had at St. Dominic, I said that all the time. Some girls they tried out, they didn't make it the first year, they came out the second year and they realized they had to really take it serious and they tried out and they want to be good players. So, that's life. Try
Yeah.
out, get involved. And look, if it's not flag football, that's fine. But try it for something. Me and Gina always says, my
Yeah.
wife, we're gonna let the kids drive the ship. We're just gonna kind of sit back. We'll push you in that direction, but you drive the ship. You decide where your
Yeah.
interests lie. We'll support you. Y'all are the same way. But I would,
Yeah.
don't be
Absolutely.
passive about it. Go seek it out. If you think your daughter, what is she doing when she's in the backyard? Just hanging out with friends. Is she shooting a basketball? Is she throwing a football? Is she swinging a bat at a ball against a fence? Take notice that, and then kind of just
Yeah.
guide them toward that path. But yeah, now there's one more avenue that the girls have now, and that is flag football, and I think that's wonderful. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. I agree. No, absolutely. I agree. If anyone wants to follow your team, right?
Yep.
So you have an Instagram for the team,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
It's what St. Mary's Dominican Flag Football, right? You can
Yeah.
check it out on Instagram, and I'll link it in the show notes as well,
Good.
so people can go and look it up. Thank you
Yep.
so much for
You are
taking time out of your day to sit and talk with me about this. I
no, this is
really, really
great.
appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
like I
No.
said, I mean, these are things we've talked about, and I just knew that it'd be great to capture the audio and put it out there for other people to hear and hopefully
Yeah.
inspire some future flag football players.
Yeah, look, it's a great game. It's influenced my life, and if it can, do the same for a girl, and if I'm coaching, that girl, and I can just introduce you to the game, it's an educational experience for them. But if it can open up a door for one
Mhm.
person, and yeah, totally worth it.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. Thank you so much. I
Thank you
really,
for
really
having me.
appreciate
Fun.
all.
Anytime.
Absolutely.